Well, hello and good evening, everyone. I'm Gina from Gina K Designs, and it's great to see all of you coming in from all around the world. My goodness, it feels like it's been a long time. Last time we saw each other was a whole week ago, and I'm very excited to be here with you all tonight. So tonight, I have a really fun little card to share with you. I did show it in our Facebook group, and I asked if people wanted to see it as a card project. And a lot of you got excited with the idea. Now, it is called a 3D village card. And I'm just going to show it to you real quick on the overhead here. This is the card, and you can see it's three-dimensional. This is what we're going to make tonight. I might mix it up a little bit and do maybe more of a faded, ink blended, faded background on this one tonight. This way we'll have two different styles to look at, and you can decide which one you like better. But this is what I'm making tonight. So before we get started with tonight's card, let's say hello to Tom. Hey, Tom.
Hey, everybody. How you doing out there? Birds. Enough to frost your preserves out there today, isn't it?
It really is.
The first blast of cold that we get.
Oh, man. The pant walls. You know how when you go outside and the walls of your pants against your skin make it all cold?
The pant
walls.
The pant. Yeah, I saw that. The pant. They don't say pants. Some people say pant.
Yeah, I think we went over this already.
Did we?
Yeah, I think we did.
Okay. Pant walls, and that's when the wind is whistling through your britches.
It's terrible. That's what it's like in Wisconsin. I remember it just wasn't that long ago that I was on my bike. So, but
yes,
it's all good though. We're all here. And actually, for a lot of people, they really like this time of the year, especially our crafty friends, because it feels so good to just put a sweatshirt on and some sweatpants or jammies and just get in your craft room and make cards. So that's what we're going to do tonight.
All right.
Are you going to be back later with a word of the day?
I think so.
Okay, yay. All right. Well, I want to show you, I did talk about that there's going to be a free template. And I know a lot of you guys are asking in the comments, where is the template? So first of all, I want to show you what the template looks like. Okay, so this is the template up here. You'll see it on the screen in just a minute, I think. Okay, there it is. So this is what the template looks like. It's got a picture of the card at the bottom. It's got a QR code that'll take you right to this video so you can watch it. And then it's got all of the information about how to cut the little hills and valleys and where to place all of the little houses. Now, let me show you in real life. This is what it looks like. It's a little bit darker in real life, a little easier to read. And the thing about this is there's lots of tips and tricks to make this work. So you're going to be able to print this out. Don't look at this one. I've got some typos in it. I fixed the typos for the one I'm uploading. So, but I have a few typos in here. But I'm gonna have this out because I want to follow it anyway. But you can just print this out. You can keep it with your little die set if you want, and you can make this card over and over again. Now, this is the die set that I'm going to be using tonight. And it is called Winter Wonderland. Now, this one doesn't come with a magnet, but I have extra Stampin' Storage magnets that I always have in my stash for when I get those standalone dies and I want to put them on a magnet. And this way I won't lose anything. So I'm going to be using a lot of these, not all of them. But in this card, somebody said, oh, no, there's no little snowman. So I did cut a snowman here. And I do think that this little snowman would fit in really cute, like right there, right? Wouldn't he look just darling right there? I hope you can see that. So there is a little space for him if you want to add the snowman. Okay, you can put him right there. The other thing that I didn't use in this set was this little street lamp right here. So if you wanted to use the little street lamp, that also would be very cute right there. So let me zoom in a little bit so you can see that a little more closely. Here we go. So if you tucked the street lamp in right here, that would work. And I think it would look really cute. Or if you wanted to add the snowman, there seems to be a little empty space right there. It was almost like, I don't know what I was thinking, but you could definitely tuck that little snowman in there too. So whatever you want to do, but I'm going to give you the basics here. So we're going to do some die cutting. We're going to do some ink blending, and I'm going to show you how I got this 3D effect. It's a lot easier than it looks. Okay, so to start, we're going to make the snow hills. Now that is part of what's on the template. So you're going to need a paper cutter, and you're going to need some cardstock. Now, I am cutting my pieces of cardstock 2 at a time. Okay, so I've just got some pieces of cardstock here. I'm just putting them together and I'm cutting them 2 at a time. If you're not comfortable with cutting 2 at a time, you can cut them by themselves, but you will have to cut with either scissors or with the die that I'm going to use tonight by hand. You're going to have to cut them together because we're doing 2s so that we can glue them together and thicken them up. So the first hill, which is the front hill, that's this one right here, the first hill, and that is this one right here. We're going to cut a piece of cardstock that measures 3/4 of an inch by 4 3/4. So all of these are going to measure 4 3/4. So I've taken that to 4 3/4, and then my first measurement is 3/4 of an inch. Now, if you have a paper cutter like mine, you can just go down 3/4 of an inch. So here's a quarter, here's a quarter, and here's a quarter. So I just went down 3/4 of an inch from there, and I cut those out together like that. Now, the second one that we need is this middle hill right here, this one right here, and this one right here. They actually overlap, and you can see that in the template here. I show you that when you cut, you're going to cut one hill this way and one hill this way, and they're going to overlap. And they're going to be 1 1/4 inches by 4 3/4 inches. So we've already got our 4 3/4. Now we're going to cut the first one at 1 1/4 inches. So let's see here. We're going to go down 1 1/4 inches from there. Okay. That should be 1 1/4 inches. Let's just make sure. Here's a ruler, 1 1/4 inches. Okay. Now we need to do another 1 1/4 inches. I'm going to just put this aside. I'm going to start another 2-pack here because I need a little bit more space. And of course, I can always use this for other things.
What's the name of that die set again?
The die set is called Winter Wonderland. All right, so I'm going to just come in from here at 1 1/4 inches. There we go. Okay, so now I have 2 of these. These are going to be from my crisscross hills. And then I need my final one, which is 4 3/4, 2 inches by 4 3/4. And that is this big hill in the back. So I'm going to cut that one down to the 2-inch mark. And again, I'm cutting 2 at a time here, but if you want to cut these separately, you can. You just have to cut the hill together because, again, you're going to be gluing these together, and you just want it to be more rigid because you're going to attach the houses to these. And so you want to make sure that they're a little bit stronger.
And you're using layering weight for those?
I am using layering weight white. Now, if you wanted to use heavy base weight white for these, you might only need 1 piece. But I'm doubling them up. I don't have any heavy base weight white in here for some reason. I think it's because we were out of it for so long that when it came back in stock, I didn't take any. All right, so I'm going to get my die cutting machine out, and we are going to do a little bit of die cutting here. Let me zoom out just a little bit. Okay, and I am using my new Intracut die cutting machine. You can use any die cutting machine you want. This is my cutting mat here. And so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the smallest one. Now you can glue this together first. That's totally fine if you want to glue it together first. I'm not going to glue mine together first because I don't want to wait for it to dry. And if I have to wait for it to dry before I die cut it, it's going to take a while. And I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. And the reason why I need, well, you already know why I need 2, but I'm not going to, you could do this with scissors, but I'm going to do it with a die. And I think once I get it all laid down, it's not going to move. But I don't want to get glue on this die. So if I don't wait for it to dry thoroughly, I'm going to kind of muck up my blade, and I don't want to do that. Now here on the template, you can see this white dotted line. That's the cut line. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's just giving you an idea that it's going to be more like a mountain in the center, and you're going to go very close up to the top. So I am going to do that. I'm going to put my die in the center and a little bit close to the top like that. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. I think I might. Yeah, that'll be fine. All right. So I'm going to just put this surface on top, and I'm going to run it through. And it doesn't matter. You can flip it upside down if you want. Just always remember when you're using the intracut that you always want to cut into the cutting mat, not into the platform. Okay, so I've got my 2 little pieces there. So I'm going to take those off. And you can see now when you cut 2 pieces of cardstock at a time, remember this is a very tiny die. So I always take, where did I put it? I have it here somewhere. I always take my little, this is like a nail file-y kind of thing. I always take a nail file or something with a little sandpaper just to clean off that edge. That's all. And you'll see that it's much smoother when you do that. Okay, so that's the first one. Now the second one, here on the template, you're going to cut one that's high on this side and comes down, and then the other one's going to go in the opposite direction. So again, we're going to use, I'm going to flip the plate over. It's good to alternate your cutting mats. It'll make them last longer. All right, so I'm going to cut this one like this. Okay, so that's coming down on that one side. And you can see, like, I'm not super worried about measuring. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect.
What die set is the hill from?
The hill is from our Master Layouts 6 die set, and that has all of these elements like mountains, grass, clouds, trees, and this hill die. Master Layouts 6. Okay. So now I've got my second one here. And again, it's just easier to cut them together because you can see they lay nicely together. And again, I'm going to take my file and just get rid of any of those little frayed edges. Okay, so that one went in that direction. Now this next one is going to go in the opposite direction. So it's going to start high on this side and it's going to come in tight on the other side, like that. Okay. Cut that out. Okay. I don't have any information about the intracut right now. I'm sorry. We just put the order in right after it sold out, and they haven't gotten back to me on any details. So I just can't give you those details yet. Okay, so now you can see you've got a mountain coming this way, and this mountain is going to be coming this way. See how they're overlapping? And then this little mountain, they're not mountains, they're like snow hills, is going to be in the front like that. So we've got those 3 areas. And it doesn't look like much now, but when you put separation in between them, like we have here with foam tape and foam squares, you can see you get lots of depth. And now we need our very last one. And again, this one is a semicircle again toward the top. Now, I may trim all of these down a little bit once I have them in place. But the reason why I started with these sizes is because that gives us good levels. We might have to trim them a little bit, but at least you have good levels to start with. Okay. And we'll cut that. No, none of these are new die sets. In fact, this house die set was free last year with our Christmas kit. So tons of you, like thousands and thousands and thousands of you probably already have the house die set. It's called Winter Wonderland. It was a free gift with our Christmas kit. And then it went for sale in our regular inventory and sold out over and over again. So it's been a very, very popular one. And so before you do anything, check to see if you have it, because I know a lot of times the free gifts, people just put them aside and they forget about them. Okay, so that was master layout 6. Now I'm going to cut 2 of these from master layouts 4. And that is a rectangle that has this cute little stitching. All right. Now I've already cut the 2 of them out, and I cut them singly, which is fine because you don't have to worry about them. I mean, they're going to automatically line up. But now I am going to put them together. So this was master layouts 4, and all of this will be in the description on YouTube. So you can always go back to the description on YouTube and see every die that I used, every color that I used, everything. The 3 master layout sets I'm using tonight are 4, 5, and 6. So 4 is this piece, and I'm trying to decide. I think I'm going to get a little bit of Masking Magic here. Just going to get a Masking Magic strip just to hold this down. This is actually my favorite thing to hold dies in place because it doesn't tear your cardstock, and you can reuse it over and over again. And then I am going to get the plain rectangle from Master Layouts 5. I designed Master Layouts 4 and Master Layouts 5 to work together if you wanted to cut a window out of that stitch die. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to position it. It fits right into the stitching really nicely. So you still get the stitches. And I just want to make sure that lines up well. And then I am going to tape it down just for, safekeeping. I'll just put it here. Oops. Like that. And here. Okay. So now we have that in place. We're going to cut our center out. Now I'm cutting both at the same time because I need that center to be open and I need it to be perfect. So let's see if this is tight enough. I think it should be. Let's see if we got a good cut. Oh yeah, I think so. Do we get it? Oh, this one didn't cut, but that's all right. I can tighten it up. Let me tighten it up. And actually, I always like to cut these upside down anyway. So let me get that back onto here. And then normally, it's because I'm cutting 2. Normally I cut 1 at a time, but because I'm cutting 2, I am going to cut it upside down. And I am going to tighten it up a little bit for this. Okay, there we go. Here we go. This should do it. Cutting 2 of these at a time is a little bit scary, but that should do it. Okay, so let's pull this off gently. You don't want to tear anything. And the Masking Magic. There we go. Okay, and then we have the other one right here that just fell off of this plate. Okay, and the reason why I did 2 is because I want my frame to be nice and thick as well. You could do 3, but I don't know that you're going to be able to cut them all at the same time. That's a big, that could be a big problem to try to get them perfectly centered. But I think for my card that I made here, I layered 2 together and it was plenty sturdy enough to hold everything together. All right. I promise you, as soon as I know something about the machines, I will run to the forums and shout it out to you. Okay. Now, let's see what else I need to cut. Okay, so I already cut a bunch of these because I didn't think you needed to see me cut every single one. I have them all cut out already, and I'm going to show you how to get them lit up in the center. So I think we're done with the die cutting machine for now. So I will put this away. And let's get some glue. Now, I've got a bunch of these little houses here, all cut, and trees. I'm not going to do them all. I have some of them already done, because I knew that this was going to take a little while, but I wanted to show you how I was able to create this look of them being lit up. You see, I've got a little bit of yellow in there. The color that I decided to choose for this was sweet corn. I think sweet corn is the perfect yellow to look like the glow of light coming in through the windows. Now, you can use other colors if you want. Absolutely, you can. But you see what I mean when I have like this yellow? It's so bright. It's almost, you know, it's just too bright. This just feels like soft nighttime lighting. And you can really get a feel for it when you see them all together. Okay, now we are going to get a pair of scissors. So where are my scissors? Here they are. Okay. Now I'm going to put together one of these. So you're going to need to find two of the same. I cut a lot more than two, but I cut two of everything. And then to really thicken it up, I'm going to put that third color, which is the white, in the center. So I'm going to just lay that house on there, and I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm just going to kind of sneak into the side there, and I'm just going to cut a little rectangle. Okay. Then, because you don't want to cut this with your die, obviously all the windows will fall out again, right? So we don't want to do that. And then I'm just going to slip my scissors right underneath like that, and underneath like that. So there, now I've got the perfect little piece for underneath there. You know, I found these inside my shoes the other day because I was making that card and I had them all over the floor and I was in my socks and they stuck to me and then they were inside my shoes. Okay, so I'm going to use a little bit of Connect glue here, and I am just going to put Connect glue on the back of this little house. And this is the Connect glue in the Gina K Designs fine tip bottle.
Question, do you ever alternate which side of the platform you use when die cutting with the Intricut?
Yes, every single time I flip it. Not the platform, just the cutting plate. The platform is so thick, nothing will ever warp on the platform. Just the plate, the cutting plate. Every single time I just flip it. And what's nice about it is, I wanted to just show you this. Because it's got the instruction here and it says use front and back interchangeably, different placement of the, you know, it gives you little tips, but you'll be looking at it and going, oh, okay, I use the printed side. This time I'm going to use the non-printed side. I never knew what sides I was using on the die cutting machines that have the clear plates. So I'm sure I was just going back and using the same ones over and over again and creating warping. All right, so now I have my first one. Now I'm going to layer this second one. It's also going to clean up the back a little bit, but you're putting glue on the front of the second one, not on the back, because they won't line up because of the little chimneys. So you're going to put this on the front. And the reason why I'm putting it on the white and not the yellow is I don't want it to be all sticky inside the holes. All right, so there I'm lining that up. And now I've got this nice, thick little house that's going to stand up really nicely. It's not going to flop around. It's got 3 layers on there. And so we need a few of the different ones. We've got this one. We've got this tall one. Then we need the 2 small ones. And then I also did the church, because I really like the church in here, especially if it's a wedding card or if it's a Christmas card, or even like, I mean, it'd be a beautiful Easter card. You know, you don't have to make it look like winter, right? You could use, if you have Master Layout 6, you could add some of these trees in here because these have like trunks and then fluffy tops. So you could use those in your mix too, if you wanted it to look more like a summer scene. But I like the idea of it looking like a winter scene. So I did triple up on the trees. And the reason why I tripled up on the trees and only doubled up on the houses, because the houses are actually tripled because they have the yellow in there. All right, so I have two small ones. I think, yeah, I have two small ones in here and one big one. So that's what I'm going to do again. Two small ones and one big one. So these can be all saved for another time. And of course, you can vary your design by having more trees. Maybe you just want to have trees and make it look like the woods. You can use little animals and snowman stamps and other things that you have in your collection. All right, so we have these. We'll put these aside. Now we are going to glue the two frames together. So I am going to use Connect Glue for this as well. Just going to get some Connect Glue all around here. Okay. And you do want to make sure that you have the frame in the same direction as where you cut it, because you may have cut a little lower on the top than the bottom. So just try to make note, which I forgot to make note, of whether or not, which side was the top and which side was the bottom. But I'm going to try to figure it out here. I don't think it's going to be a problem.
So Michelle is asking, do you have, sell, or know of any products or tools that are good for crafters who suffer from carpal tunnel? Well, you've had problems with carpal tunnel.
I did. I actually ended up having to have the surgery for carpal tunnel. Let me just see if this is right. I think this is right here. So I do like our Intricate die cutting machine because it's so easy to crank. But there are also electric die cutting machines that you can get. I have the Gemini, and you can get that if you are looking for an electric machine. Some people like the Empress. I think if you have really sharp scissors, they're going to cut better than if you have dull scissors. So I would always make sure that you have scissors. I think the cranking thing is the big thing. And since I got my Intracut, I don't have any problems cranking it through anymore. It's super easy. Okay. So I don't know if that was a help or not. All right, so now we are going to start. Well, we really should adhere these together. So I cut this one a little bit off from here, you see? This was my sample that I cut earlier. And you could cut it this way if you want to, where it's a little bit more pointy on one side. It really doesn't matter. But I did actually glue all of these together already. So it doesn't make sense for me. You know what gluing two pieces of paper together look like, but you can see that they are a little bit more rigid. Now we're going to start. One thing I want to show you on the template that you can see about where I put each of these elements, and you can also see that I have made a note of whether you're putting the houses and the trees behind or in front of the snow hill. So like in this one, these are all behind. In this one, the church is in front, but this tall house and tree are behind the snow hills. And then on the final one, both are in front of the snow hill. And you can see that here where I've got that last snow hill, but you can see the whole house here. But like in the front here, they're kind of buried in the snow a little bit. So if you want your layout to look exactly like mine, you can follow this template exactly. But I know that we've got tons of creative people out there. So I want you to do it your way too, whatever works best for you. Okay, so now we are going to adhere this little hill right onto the front of the frame. Okay, that's going to go right on the front of the frame. And you can see it fits. And we're just going to put glue down a little bit. We'll start it down here. We're going to put glue right down here. And then I like to look at it, but you don't have to. I mean, you could do it this way and then you'll be able to see it. So we'll just do it from the back here like that. And make sure that you tack that down. And if you want, you can use a acrylic block. So I have like this acrylic block here. This is my 3x4 acrylic block. I also have our big acrylic block, and you can use that like a paperweight just to make it stick a little bit better, but it'll stick pretty well. That's pretty on there. Okay, and it dries fairly quickly. So now you can see we have our first little hill right there. Okay, now I'm using the template and I'm seeing that I have this house, which is this one right here, and this house, which is this one right here. And then I have a small tree in between them. And how do you know the difference between the small trees and the big trees in the template? So the small trees look smaller right up in here, and the big tree looks bigger right up in here. And then you can see the difference in the trees here, how much bigger this piece is and taller. These are not exactly the same size. They're, you know, a little bit smaller, but they're all evenly smaller. So you should be able to tell. All right, now I'm going to start with a little bit of glue, and I'm going to tack one house down. Now, the trick is to look at it straight, because you tend to want to like put it on the hill like that and not straight up and down. Don't worry if a little bit of the window gets covered. You just want to have it straight up and down. Okay, and I want to make sure that I have a little bit of room in there for my church to be able to show behind it. Okay, so I might move it in just a little bit more than that. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue right back here. And then I'm going to position my house straight up and down. And you can wiggle it. That's the beauty of glue. You can wiggle it where you want and get it to look nice and straight. Okay, and I'm just holding it there for a minute until it sticks. Make sure it's straight. Does it look straight? It's always easier for me if I just lay it down to see if it looks straight. And that looks pretty straight. Okay. And now I'm going to place a tree next to that, right in the center. So I'm going to do the same thing again. A little bit of glue on the back. And it's okay if you kind of sink the tree down into the snow a little bit. I would take it maybe to that, you know, see how far down it's going here? But let's make sure it's straight. There we go. That looks pretty straight. Okay. And then we're going to put this last one, we're going to give it a tiny bit of space. And that last one is going to go right here. So that's down a little bit more, but that's totally fine. Okay.
And again, where can they find the template?
The template, as soon as I get home, I have to drive home tonight. And as soon as I get home, I have it all done. I'm going to upload it onto our blog, and I'm also going to upload it into our Facebook group. But it's easy. I'll get a picture of the one that I make tonight, and I will add that into the blog as well. Now you can see I don't have like any parts of the houses like sticking up, for example. I don't have it like this. See what I mean? Where like part of the house is just hanging out in the air. I'd rather sink it down a little bit more and lose a little bit of the windows to make it look more realistic. Yes, I promise you that template will be available for you in our Facebook group and also on our blog. Okay, so now you see what's going to happen next. We're going to add the next mountain. But before we do that, we're going to glue these two together because we want to have a crisscross mountain here. And we want to make sure that they aren't too big that they're going to go outside of our frame. So the reason why I made every one of these 4 3/4 wide is so that when you go end to end, it will fit nicely in the frame. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So let's go ahead and we could do this with tape. This might be a little bit easier to do with tape. So we can just add tape here. And then we can tape these two together. Remember, go all the way to the edge. And then have them nice and flat in the back. Okay. So there is our next layer. Okay. Now, in this layer, you can see in the template that I designed, the church is going to go in the front, but these two are going to go in the back. So it's going to be kind of like this, church in the front, and then house and big tree in the back, like that. Okay. So I like to look at it before I commit. And I like to look at it with this on top. So can I still see everything, right? You can still see everything. It's spread out really nicely there. So you feel good about that? I feel pretty good about that. I think I might slide this over just a little bit, but I feel good about that. Okay, so now I'm going to glue this one on right down here. So we're going to add glue on the back of this, and we're going to make sure that it's straight. And we're going to add it right over here. Looks pretty straight, right? So before I put these on, like, I can test that, make sure that looks good still. And I think it looks good. And it's okay if they're going to overlap a little bit on each other, and that's okay. You know, on my sample, they're overlapping all over the place. But it's okay because once you get that foam tape in there, it's going to create separation between them. So we've got that one there. And then I want to look again to see where I want this one. And I think that's going to be pretty good. I'm going to move it closer because in my original sample, I had it close to that tree. So I think that's going to look good. All right, so it's going to be a little closer to where they meet. So I'm going to put some on here on the front. And now I'm going to put this right in here. This is a tall house. And I did the short houses in the front, and I'm saving, you know, the tall houses for in the back. But again, my way isn't the right way. My way is just my way. If you have a better way or you have a better vision of what you want your little village to look like, by all means, go for it. So I'm thinking that's looking good. It's really hard to see this way. Okay, that looks good. And now we're going to put this last tree. So it's pretty close over here to the edge. And again, I'm going to glue all over here, and the tree is actually going to start from about here. Yeah, this is just a fun little pop-up card. Of course, it's not really a pop-up card. It's a 3D card, but it's fun. This is definitely a hand deliver or, you know, put it in something a little bit thicker because it'll get squished. No matter what, it'll get squished. But I always do hand-delivered cards for Christmas too. All right, so that is our second layer, and I think it looks good. Now, I'm going to do my third layer. And this one, again, these are all glued together. So in my template, I show you that both of these are going to be in the front. We're not tucking anything behind here. We want these in the front, and we want them to drop down a little bit so that the hill is actually in the back. See what I mean here? The hill is way in the distance, and these are just laying in here like this. Okay. Now we got to look at this to see where we want to place these. So I'm going to move this one to here like that. And I'm going to move this one up and just a little behind that one like that. Now, when you have that and then you lay this on top, it fills in really nicely. All the spots get filled in. Okay. So we're going to hold those in place and move this. And then we're going to glue these down. So I'm just going to put a little glue under here because I like where it is. Had to get it in there. And then we're going to put that there.
And what color is behind the windows?
That is sweet corn. I want to check it again to make sure I like it. It's going to come up just a little more. Like that. Yep, that's sweet corn. Yes, I like this. Make sure it's straight. And then this one's going to come in right back here. About the same height, but in between those two. So we'll get just a little glue in that area so I know where to glue. And we're going to put that right there. Okay. 2 and 3. There we go. So we have a village. Yes, we have a village. Now we've got to create the separation. So for this, I'm going to use shaker strips. You can use foam squares or foam tape, whatever you have. I do like the shaker strips because they kind of go around the perimeter nicely. But again, it's unimportant in the big picture. Just use what you have. And if you find that you want it to be a little bit cleaner, or you want it to look a little different down the line, you can always pick up some shaker strips. This one was stuck to the other one. So let me pull that apart. Okay. So now I'm going to work my way from the front toward the back. So I'm going to put a shaker strip not right around the edge, but I'm going to put it up here more in this area. Okay. So it's going to be up here. You're not going to really be able to see it as much. Put it right up against the house there. Because I want to leave a little room to put another one down here to attach it to my card base. And then I'm going to just trim this right there. Okay. Now that is going to create a little bit of separation when I glue these two together. It's going to create a little separation. And I'm also going to put a little piece of shaker strip on the back of each of these, because then they're not just hanging out in space, you know what I mean? And you can do that because you've got that yellow in there hiding the open windows. So this should fall really nicely in here. Like that. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this a little bit because I actually don't want this to go all the way down to the edge. So I am going to take a little bit off. See, I want to take maybe 1/4 of an inch off of that. But I wanted to start with them all being the same so that it was easy for me to lay them out. So I'm going to just go in here with my paper cutter, and I'm just going to trim a little bit off the bottom. Just a little bit. And it's not going to be pretty, and it doesn't matter if it's pretty. It just has to come off the bottom. Because now I can have the bottom of this right up against that shaker strip. And then I still have room to do my shaker strips down there, if that makes sense. Okay. So I'm going to peel that off, peel this off, peel this off. Kathy Zilski, I saw that you're here. I'm using my fingers as tools, my nails. I'm a mess. I'm a mess. Kathy's got the most gorgeous fingernails in the crafting world. Okay, now I'm going to put that right along the edge of this shaker strip. And making sure that it's straight. There we go. And what I forgot to do, and I'll do it right now, is I'm going to put a little bit of shaker strip right into the sides here. Just a little bit. So let me grab another one. Just take a tiny piece. Should have done that first, but it's okay. I didn't do it first on my sample either. It's something that's easy to forget, so don't worry about it. Just put it on your frame. Onto the frame. Can I get it? Yeah, I can get it. Onto the frame. I'll use the tool. There we go. And then that will hold the side nicely there, if that makes sense. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to try to do the same thing to the other side. Oh, it's easy over here because so definitely do this part first. Put your little shaker strippy things over here. And then we can peel that. Those tweezers are good. I'm not worried about like foam sticking out anywhere because we're going to end up putting this whole thing onto. How do you do this, Kath? Okay, that'll work. There we go. Okay. So now we've got our first two layers, and you can see all that separation, right? Okay, now we got to get the next layer in there. That's this one. And again, we're going to cut it down just a little bit. Cut it down, I guess, another 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so let's do that. I have shaker strips everywhere. We're going to cut this down 1/4 of an inch. Another 1/4 of an inch. And I am eyeballing what a 1/4 of an inch is. Don't worry, you can go a little bigger than a 1/4 of an inch if you have to. If you're not sure, it's not going to affect it. That one was a lot easier to cut. And so this is going to go up in here. So let's take a look. We're going to bring this up a little bit higher. So we're going to put another shaker strip on here, right across here. We've got one. I'm going to put it in here. We'll put a little piece of shaker strip there. Work. Yep. And then we'll put a little piece of shaker strip on the church. Right in here. This is just going to hold them in place. Okay. Now, here we go. And if you want, you could put, shaker strips on the trees, but I don't think you need to. I think they're going to be fine. And then this, let me get this straight. Place this. See if that worked. Oh, it did. Okay. So I've got that there like that. Okay. Oh, and you know what I forgot to do again, guys? I forgot to put my side pieces on. Okay. I don't know that we're going to be that's going to be a problem. It might be a problem. No, I think it'll be okay. Now I'm going to do a little bit of ink blending because now I have my little village here and I'm going to do some ink blending. What I did with this card is I just put a piece of vellum behind there. And let me show you what that would look like. So I just did this. See? And if you have light, I wonder if my cell phone would light up if I put the flashlight on. You know, if you have light coming in behind it, you could make it almost like a topiary. Is that what they're called, Tom? Not a topiary, a luminary. A topiary is trees and shrubs and things. I don't know. A luminary. They're where they light up. Yes. So you could make that, but you can also do some ink blending. And that's what I want to do with this one, because this one already has the vellum behind it. So we've got a sample of that. So let's get a piece of cardstock that's going to be the right size. Now this I don't have in the template because I just didn't know what we were going to do, you know? So I need a piece of cardstock that's going to measure about 4 3/4 of an inch by 3 3/4 of an inch. So I can cut that and then we can trim it down if it sticks out. So 4 3/4 of an inch. That's a very messy piece of cardstock. 4 3/4 of an inch by 3 3/4 of an inch. Let's see how that looks. That seems like it's not right, does it? Oh, but it's right. It's right enough because we can trim. We can trim it down. I'm going to trim it just a little bit more on this side. I'm going to take it to like 3 5/8 of an inch. We'll see how that looks on the back. I think that's going to be a little bit better. Now let's make kind of like a sunset here, but not a sunset, like darker than a sunset. So let's get some blending brushes and then let's pick some colors. My favorite colors for a nightfall sky are blue denim, Tranquil Teal, Turquoise Sea, and maybe a little Bubblegum. Let's try that and we'll see how that goes. And then let me get my ink stand. And let's start at the top. Now I'm going to start up here at the top. Remember, it's this way. I'm going to start with Turquoise Sea. That's like my start color. I don't know why. I always start with Turquoise Sea. So I am going to, I think this is going to look so different than my sample, my original one. But I'm going to get a little bit of Turquoise Sea in here. Now we could always, another thing, if you wanted to add some sparkle, you could ink blend on our Flurries polyglaze sheet and, you know, polyglaze it maybe with sparkling silver or even just our sterling. And then you could ink blend over that and that would give you twinkling stars and maybe the look of a little bit of a snowy background. That would be really pretty too. But there's so many options for you with this. I'm actually going to ink blend this color pretty far down. And I think that might be far enough down. Yeah, that's going to be good. So now I'm going to do a little bit of Bubblegum here on my pink brush. And get some pink in there. Yeah, so the options are endless here of what you can do with your background. You can do alcohol ink backgrounds. I mean, you guys are so creative out there with your backgrounds. And you could do whatever you want. And then when you pop these houses on the top, it's going to look beautiful, whatever you do. I just want to make sure that we've got it all covered here. And I think that we do. So I'm going to add a little bit of whatever orange is on my brush, just right in here. Kind of like get a little sunset in there, right? Because this is all going to be hidden, but don't you feel like, go up a little higher? Do you feel like you need a little something in there kind of coming out? I like that. Now let's get some of that Tranquil Teal in there. So we're going to go darker. Oh my gosh, yes, a northern light sky would be amazing. I'm going to come down a little bit more in here. Kind of covering up the Turquoise Sea, but I feel like the sky's not going to be dark enough if I don't get a tighter blend. And now let's add the blue denim. And I might even go from blue denim into a little bit of in the navy. Here we go. But again, any colors that you want to use, you could make it a daytime sky if you want. You could make it a snowy background and do ink splatter, paint splatter. But I'm keeping this simple just for the sake of time, because this card is taking longer, which is fine. I don't have any problem being here a little bit longer with you guys if you don't have a problem with me being here a little bit longer. And then we're going to go with in the navy. So I have in the navy here. And I just feel like bringing that darkness kind of in a semicircle will really make it feel like night. And I'm using the same brush. Yes, shimmer splatter would be really nice too. Okay. Let's see how this is looking up against the houses to make sure I don't have ink on me. Oh, I feel like that's so pretty. It like you can just a little bit see that orangey coming up. You guys like that? It's kind of glowy. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put a shaker strip. We're going to put 2 shaker strips. We're going to put them here, here, and here, and we're going to double up on them. So let me find them. Where'd they go? Oh, they're everywhere. Okay. We need 2. So we're going to put 2 right here along this edge. We're going to trim that. And we're going to put another one right on top of it. So let's get another one. We're going to peel this. And we're going to put this one right on top of it. Because it has to go too high. Because this is too high. Not too high like it's too high and we shouldn't have gone that high. Like it's 2, the number 2 high. So we got to have them the same so that it will lay properly. Now we're going to continue that. Now we don't have to go all the way under there if we don't want to. We can if we want to, but I'm just going to go here. I'm going to get in there and see what I'm doing.
Can you explain what a shaker strip is real quick?
Yes, a shaker strip is like, it's foam tape, but they're already, this is what they look like in the package. And they're already cut into strips for you. So it's thick foam tape that's cut into strips. They measure 5.5 inches by 3/16 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch. And I don't know what's width and height and length, but they're really good. And now I'm going to lay the second one on top here.
And which scissors are those?
Well, I'm using Simon Says Stamp scissors. These are really nice scissors, and Heidi sent me these to try, and I absolutely love them. They're their bigger scissors. She also sent me small ones, which I adore. That's these here, and I love them. They're like a Teflon, and they're really easy to clean the gunk off. Nothing seems to really stick to them. I really like them. Okay. Alrighty, let's do this one. So layer 1. And then we've got to peel and put on layer 2. And then I'm just getting into that spot where the last one was and just trimming it to match. Whoop, did you see that fly? And now we're going to put our last one on up here, our last 2. And this is not as crucial as making a shaker card that everything fits because there's no shaker materials that are going to come out. However, this would be an adorable shaker card if you wanted to put a piece of acetate on the front of it. You could turn it into a shaker, a little shaker village, and that would be adorable. I was trying to be all good, like Kathy. Did I see Jennifer here earlier? Jennifer, if you're still here, hello. Jennifer has pretty nails too. Not me. I should do my nails though, because they all look so nice. I just have nubs. Okay, so now you can see we've got that loft, right? And now we can stick that right down. Oh, yes, Tom. While I am taking these papers off and I am sticking this on top, do you want to give your word of the day?
Okay. Word of the day today. So we're coming up on New Year's, right?
Yes, we are.
Got a few things to get through before then, but today's word of the day is about how you feel on New Year's Day. And so if you overdo it on New Year's Eve, you might be experiencing the next day some champagne. Champagne word of the day.
That's very good. I like that. Love it.
All right.
Yes. And I ran out of tape runner just right at the right time to fix that. So I just put a little bit of tape runner back here. That's funny, Tom. Okay. And I'm peeling off all of these parts here. I know Kathy Z definitely would have splattered the background. And it would look great. It really would. I am just running short of drying time at this point. But I still want to... So can I just get my head over here? Okay. There we go. I could have done it from the back, but I really wanted to just see what I was looking at. So there's my little box. I mean, you can see, isn't that cute? Yeah, moon in the back would be great. Lots of things that you can do, for sure. And I did promise somebody I'd put the snowman in, and I feel like I should put him in here somewhere. I could put him right here. Let me just put him in because I promised. And I know somebody is going to look and say, you didn't put your snowman in like you promised. And I don't want to be that person. So I put a little glue on the snowman. And let's just get it in there. I don't even know if I can do this, but I think I can. Maybe not. There we go. Okay, he's in there now. Snowman made it. Okay, and then I am going to put this onto a card base. Now, I used a gray card base for this, and I think it looks really nice on gray. This is Moonlit Fog. I want to see what the Moonlit Fog would look like with this one. I think that would be really pretty. Let's do Moonlit Fog again, or let's just look at one more color. Let's look at Sea Glass. Surprise! Let's look at Sea Glass. Do you guys like Sea Glass better for a card base like this? Oh yeah, we could do tiny little sequins in there. We could do all kinds of things. Navy would be nice. Yeah, navy would be nice. Try navy. We'll try navy. Let's see. I have navy. Here's navy. Oh, navy does look nice, doesn't it? Let's go with navy. I know it looks a little black here. Might look a little black in the picture, but I definitely think it makes everything stand out. And somebody said black. I saw somebody say black. And so, you know, this is very close. So let's make a navy card base. I could add a few little gems in there. Maybe I will. Maybe that will give it a snowy feel. I could spritz it with something, but it was the drying time, because what happens is you can't really control where you're going to glimmer mist or where you're going to paint, and it's going to get on those areas where I had to put that foam tape down. So
is this actually a hand deliverable, or do you have to put it in a box?
I think you would have to put it in like a padded envelope with some cardboard or something, but I would use this more as a hand deliver because it sits up really nice. It's almost like a little piece of home decor. Okay, and I'm just going to put tape on the back here. And anywhere that foam tape is sticking out, it'll be totally fine because it'll just stick right onto that. There we go. Okay. Now, is that even? I think it's even. Now I'm going to pop a greeting on. I cut a couple Merry Christmas greetings out, and I'm just going to stick that little greeting right here, almost like there's a little plate there for it. I'm going to put it right there. And I think that looks pretty good. Do I have a few minutes to add some sequins? I think I do. Let's see. Do I want sequins or do I want mini sequins? I'll put some sequins in there. We'll just do a couple. We'll just do a couple around here. We'll do 5. I have to do one over here. And then we'll do one maybe right there. So that's an odd number. Got to stick with the design element feature thing. But I think this will be pretty. I'm just doing 2 different sizes here. This is our disco ball. And it's got a couple different sizes because we have the micro disco ball and the disco ball. So I think I have like a tiny one for here. It's pretty. And a really tiny one there. So that gives it a little bit of shimmer in the sky behind there. But definitely the splatter would look great. It would look really great if you splattered for sure. I think my church is a little crooked too, but you know, we're going with it. I think it's going to be okay. So now what I want to know from you guys is, what do you like better? Do you like the ink blended background, or do you like the more simple background? Which one do you like better? I really want to know what you think. in the beginning, I was like, oh, I don't want to do an ink blended background because I like how crisp and simple this is. But now that I've seen the ink blended background, I don't know. I'm torn. Oh, ink blended. Almost everybody likes ink blended. Some people like both. Okay, cool. Well, good. Then I'm glad that we did some ink blending tonight because that seems to be very popular. So this template that I have right here is going to be put into both our Facebook group and onto our website. All you have to do is click on the blog and you'll be able to download the template for free. And it has a lot of the instructions and the tips and tricks. But then, you're going to do it and you're going to play with it and you're going to find that you might come up with better ways to do it. You might come up with doing it with foam squares might be so much easier for you because they're tiny and, it totally depends on what works for you. And also the foam squares are flatter than the shaker strips. So if you like a flatter look, maybe something that's easier to mail, you could try it with foam squares. You can always take those tiny foam squares and cut them in half and just dot them around the perimeter for a very similar look. Well, guys, this was so much fun. Tom, should we give this card away?
Okay.
All right, let's give this one away because this is kind of the one I think most people like.
All right, cheesy drum roll, please. And the winner tonight is Gena Lemmink.
Yay, Gina!
Lemmink.
Congratulations!
Lemmink. Yay!
Congratulations, Gina. All you have to do is send your name and address to info@ginakdesigns.com and we will get this card out to you. Well, everybody, this was so much fun. I hope you had a good time tonight and I hope you'll get your little Winter Wonderland set out and you'll play with it. Hey, it doesn't have to be as complicated as this card. It could be just maybe 2 little houses and a tree, or it could just be the church and some trees in the background. You can make it exactly the way that you want it. And by using foam squares or foam tape or shaker strips, you can just separate those different layers and create all of that beautiful dimension. Well, Tom and I will be back on Thursday, although I'll tell you, Tom might not be here on Thursday. I might have to have Sammy because Tom has something that he has to help our daughter with. He thinks he's going to be back in time, but if he's not, I'll have Sammy. But either way, I will be here for sure on Thursday with another Stampin' Chat live at noon, Crafternoon Central Time, and we'll be making another fun holiday project. But in the meantime, everybody, you stay safe, stay healthy. We love you all so very much, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.